Hello everyone, I am Naman Joshi and I welcome you all to Recommended Talks. I am here to discuss with some very latest issue that is happening in the Middle East. It is the Israel and Palestine conflict. It is not a very new issue, as it has been more than 100 years old topic. So it has time and time it has been more critical and more critical throughout the years. Before starting the topic, I want to mention some places like where the this issue is located. The issue between Israel and Palestine is in the Middle East. It touches the Mediterranean Sea in its west. So if you all can imagine the location of this place where the issue is taking place. Now, the another one is the Golan Heights. Golan Heights is located in north of Israel, and it has border with Syria. Firstly, it was a part of Syria. Then Israel annexed it or captured it. Second is the West Bank. West Bank is basically located in the west of the Jordan River. That is why it is known as the West Bank. It is having a border with Israel, and it is said that it is the border between Israel and Palestine in the west. Uh, and the another one is the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip is located somewhere between in Egypt and between Egypt and Israel. It is having very small border with Egypt and a large border with Israel. It touches the Mediterranean Sea. This is the demography of the Gaza Strip. The another that is the main issue of the problem is Jerusalem. Jerusalem is located between the Israel and the West Bank. It is in the border of the both the places, and we can see that the main issue has is surrounding by this Jerusalem only. Jerusalem is a very critical place where there are three religions who have a great faith in this place, and there are certain reasons about it also. Like it is the greatest and highest holiest place for the Judaism, that is the Jewish community. It is the third holiest place for Islam, as here it is the Al-Aqsa Masjid, which is the third holiest site for Islam after Makkah and Medina. It is said that Paigambar Sahab went to Jannat, as it is said in the Holy Quran, from here only. And it is also important for Christianity, as the crucifixion of Jesus Christ was done over here. यानी कि जीसस क्राइस्ट को सूली पे यहाँ पे चढ़ाया गया था. जो ये कुछ की हाइलाइट्स और की डेमोग्राफीज हैं जो हमें आगे काम आएंगी, और ये आगे टॉपिक में बढ़ते बढ़ते इन सब चीज़ों का जिक्र जरूर आएगा. तो अब स्टार्ट करते हैं अपना टॉपिक. हम डीप स्टडी पे जाएंगे इस टॉपिक के. तो ये स्टार्ट होता है ये कहानी है एक होली प्लेस की, एक होली लैंड, एक शुद्ध धरती, एक पवित्र धरती जो मिडिल ईस्ट में लोकेटेड थी. जैसा कि मैंने आपको बताया कि ये तीन रिलीजन्स के लिए काफ़ी इम्पोर्टेंट प्लेस है. अब इस कहानी की जो शुरुआत होती है, इस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट की शुरुआत होती है अर्ली 1900s में, यानी कि 19th सेंचुरी में, जहाँ पर जो ये एरिया था ये ओटोमन एम्पायर के अंडर था. Ottoman Empire was a great empire which was which was spread in very large amount in Middle East and some parts of Europe. It was a very strong empire, but in last of 1890s it became a very weak empire. And by the 19th century arrived, we all know that nationalism was started in all over Europe. Different countries were formed during this time, like Italy and all other countries like Germany. They started calling them that we are Germans, we are Italians, we are French. This became like this the countries were made in Europe. Like this, nationalism also get a large amount of support in Jewish community. It was Theodor Herzl, a person named Theodor Herzl, who started this, who had a great role in starting this movement known as the Zionist movement. According to Zionist movement, the Jewish says that they will go back to the Holy Land from where the Judaism has started, that is Israel, the modern day Israel. It was previously the Palestine only, so they want to go there. This was the complete idea of the Zionist movement. And under this movement, a small migration also took place to this Palestine location from Europe. It was not a mass migration, but migration in small amount took place. Now comes the World War One. And World War One, as we all know, that Britishers had an important role in World War One. and it is also seen that the topics or the conflicts all over in the world, there had been some interests or some actions of the British over there. We can see it is in the Israel, it is also there in the Israel Palestine conflict. It is, we can see it in the Kashmir conflict between India and Pakistan that happened in 1947-48. We can see that issue in Hong Kong in China that is taking place. So all over wherever there are some conflict, British has to do something with it, and this also happened in this place. And starting from World War One, when World War One started, Britishers played some games over this place. Firstly, in 1917, British signed a Balfour Declaration. Balfour Declaration एक साइन हुआ था, ब्रिटिशर्स ने उसे साइन किया था, जिसमें ब्रिटिशर्स ये कहते थे कि उस जो पैलेस्टाइन का एरिया है वहाँ पर हम ज्यूइश के लिए एक नेशनल स्टेट, एक नेशनल होम की बात को एग्री करते हैं, और आफ्टर वर्ल्ड वॉर हम इस चीज़ पे स्टेप्स लेंगे। यानी कि ब्रिटिशर्स ने एक तरह से ज्यूज को प्रॉमिस किया कि आफ्टर वर्ल्ड वॉर वन ख़त्म होगी हम आपको वहाँ एक आपके लिए एक अलग कंट्री बनवाएंगे। लेकिन ब्रिटिशर्स ने साथ ही में और भी कुछ एग्रीमेंट साइन किए। उन्होंने एक सीक्रेट एग्रीमेंट साइन किया वर्ल्ड वॉर के दौरान ही, जिसे साइक्स पीको एग्रीमेंट कहा जाता है। इसके तहत ये डील साइन हुई थी फ्रांस, रशिया और यूके के बीच। इसमें मिडिल ईस्ट की बहुत सारी कंट्रीज़ को डिवाइड किया गया था और उनको अलग अलग देशों में बांट दिया गया था। जैसे जॉर्डन रशिया को दिया गया, कुछ पार्ट ऑफ टर्की रशिया को दिया गया, इधर हमारा इजिप्ट फ्रांस को दिया गया। ऐसे ही जो ब्रिटिशर्स थे उन्होंने फ़िलिस्तीन का एरिया अपने लिए रख लिया। एक एग्रीमेंट ब्रिटिशर्स ने ये साइन किया। ब्रिटिशर्स ने एक और एग्रीमेंट साइन किया जिसमें उन्होंने फ़लस्तीन में ये प्रॉमिस किया कि हम वर्ल्ड वॉर ख़त्म होने के बाद फ़लस्तीन का जो एरिया है वो अरब्स को दे देंगे, क्योंकि ओटोमन एम्पायर उस टाइम पे रूल कर रहा था और ब्रिटिशर्स को अरब्स की हेल्प चाहिए थी ओटोमन एम्पायर को ख़त्म करने के लिए। तो इसलिए उन्होंने उनसे प्रॉमिस किया कि जो फ़लस्तीन का लैंड है वो हम अरब्स को दे देंगे आफ्टर द वर्ल्ड वॉर वन। अब ब्रिटिशर्स ने अपना गेम खेल दिया, वर्ल्ड वॉर वन जीती गई। अब इसके साथ जब वर्ल्ड वॉर वन अब आता है पोस्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर वन एरा, पोस्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर वन एरा में हम देखते हैं कि कई सारी माइग्रेशंस हुई। जैसे कि बेल्फोर डिक्लेरेशन में उन्होंने ब्रिटिशर्स ने ज्यूज को प्रॉमिस किया था दैट वी विल बी गिविंग यू अ नेशनल होम इन पैलेस्टीन, दैट इज़ योर रिलीजियस साइट। So depending on that declaration, Jews believed on the Britishers and they started mass migration towards the state of Palestine. अब उनका माइग्रेशन का एक ये रीज़न नहीं था। जो ज़ायनिस्ट मूवमेंट की शुरुआत हुई थी वो स्टार्ट भी इसलिए हुआ था क्योंकि हमने देखा था कि उस टाइम पे भी जो ज्यूज थे उनका यूरोप में और पूरी दुनिया में हर जगह मास परसिक्यूशन किया जा रहा था। ये हिटलर की टाइम की बात नहीं है, हिटलर के टाइम से पहले भी ये हो रहा था। कई जगह ब्रिटिश जो ज्यूज थे उनके साथ नाइंसाफ़ी हो रही थी, उन्हें मारा जा रहा था। तो उन्होंने भी ये सोचा कि हम अब कहीं और सेफ़ नहीं है, हमें अपने लिए एक अलग देश बनाना पड़ेगा, सिर्फ वहीं हम सेफ़ रह सकते हैं। तो यहीं से चाइनीज़ मूवमेंट शुरुआत हुई थी। अब यहाँ हमने पोस्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर वन में देखा कि वहाँ से मास माइग्रेशन शुरू हो गई, परसिक्यूशन भी एक रीज़न था, ज़ायनिस्ट मूवमेंट भी एक रीज़न था, और ब्रिटिशर्स का जो प्रॉमिस था बेल्फोर डिक्लेरेशन में वो भी एक रीज़न था। देखते देखते इन माइग्रेशंस की वजह से the population in the area of Palestine, 30% of the population were now became Jews। यानी कि हम सोच सकते हैं कितनी बड़ा माइग्रेशन हुआ कि ज्यूज़ की वहाँ पॉपुलेशन 30% ऑफ द फिलिस्तीनी पॉपुलेशन हो गई। तो ये बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा माइग्रेशन हुआ। अब what Jews did after going there, Jews started purchasing land. They purchased land from the local Arabs over there, एंड वहाँ पर जो गरीब पुअर अरब्स थे जो वहाँ रहते थे उनको उन्होंने वहाँ से निकालना, इवेक्ट करना शुरू कर दिया। और जैसे जैसे इस तरीके से उन्होंने उस एरिया की किलेबंदी या फिर तारबंदी करना शुरू किया, जिसे हम फेंसिंग भी कहते हैं। उन्होंने ज़मीनें खरीदी, वहाँ पर जो गरीब या पुअर अरब्स थे उनको वहाँ से भगाया और वहाँ पर दे स्टार्टेड फेंसिंग दैट एरिया। लाइक दिस देयर बिकेम सम ज्यूइश सेटलमेंट्स इन द पार्ट ऑफ जेरूसलम, or I can say the state of Palestine, that is now Israel plus Palestine। वहाँ पर उन्होंने सेटलमेंट्स बनाना शुरू किया जो कि ज्यूइश सेटलमेंट्स कहलाए। आफ्टर दिस द ज्यूज ऑल्सो मेड सम मिलिशियाज, द पीपल who took arms in their hand to defend all those areas, those are known as Jewish militias। But after this, what happened, slowly and slowly the Arabs realized that the Britishers had betrayed them, and the Jewish settlement had started beginning over here in the Palestine. So the Arabs revolted against the Britishers. Now what Britishers did, ब्रिटिशर्स ने इन ज्यूइश मिलिशियाज का हेल्प लिया इन जो लोकल अरब्स रिवोल्ट हो रहा था उसे रोकने के लिए. एंड द ब्रिटिशर्स वर सक्सेसफुल अलॉन्ग विद द ज्यूइश मिलिशियाज टू कर्ब द रिविलियन. बट नाउ द ब्रिटिशर्स हैज रियलाइज दैट व्हाट दे हैड डन and what the complications are now coming in front of them. So what they did to satisfy the Arab population, they put a ban or they put a barrier in the migration of Jews from Europe to the state of Palestine. They did it somewhat 10,000, not more than 10,000 Jews per year can come to this place. So this also made the Jews angry. But Britishers thought that by this they can satisfy the Arabs and the place will now become peace for them. But things continued to take place, steps continued to take place, and then came the World War II between 1939 to 1945, and we have seen that the Great Holocaust take place in Europe, where Hitler genocided the Jewish population. ऐसा माना जाता है, ऐसा रिपोर्ट्स कहती हैं कि उस टाइम पे हिटलर ने गैस के चैम्बरों में करीब करीब 4.2 मिलियन यानी कि 42 लाख जो ज्यूज थे उनको मारा था. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ी पॉपुलेशन थी. इस डर के मारे भी कई सारी ज्यूज ने बहुत लार्ज स्केल में माइग्रेशन किया और वो पैलेस्तीन के लैंड में आए. और यहाँ पर जैसा कि पॉपुलेशन उनकी बढ़ती जा रही थी तो यहाँ पर उनके लिए इनक्लेव्स बनना आसान हो गया और सेटलमेंट्स बनती रही. धीरे धीरे ये चलता रहा और फिर हुआ वर्ल्ड वॉर ख़त्म. ब्रिटिशर्स वर्ल्ड वॉर जीत चुके थे, लेकिन अब उन्होंने देखा कि ये जो मामला है, द डिस्प्यूट उनके हाथ से बाहर जाते जा रहा है और दे थॉट दैट दे आर नॉट नाउ एबल टू कंट्रोल दिस रेबेलियन और दिस इशू. सो दे प्रेजेंटेड दिस इशू इन फ्रंट ऑफ द यूनाइटेड नेशन. यूनाइटेड नेशन उस टाइम पे नया नया बना था. 1945 में यूनाइटेड नेशन बना और 1947 करीब में उनके सामने सबसे बड़ा इशू, जो पहला बड़ा इशू जो यूनाइटेड नेशन ने फेस किया, वो था इजराइल एंड अरब कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, जो कि वहाँ पे इजरायली सेटलमेंट से हुआ था. Now what happened in 1947, a meeting took place in the United Nations Security Council and a voting took place that whether Israel has a right to exist over there or not. Israel should be a territory or country there or not. In this voting, Israel won and it was decided that in the Palestinian land there would be two nations. The two-nation theory was developed, and by this the Palestinian land was divided into two parts. One was the Jewish state of Israel and another was the Palestinian state for Arabs. The British UN divided area into two parts and two nations came to exist. This happened, but where the issue struck was the condition of Jerusalem. As I told you, the importance of Jerusalem in both Judaism as well as Islam. So this happened and it was decided that Jerusalem will be becoming an international city which will be governed by the governments of both Israel as well as Palestine. So it was something a mixed kind of government. It was decided in the United Nations. But as the Israel was formed, the neighboring countries of Israel, that is Egypt, Syria, Transjordan, it was known as Transjordan at that time, and Iraq, they attacked at this new formed nation in 1948 and 49. This was also known as the first Arab-Israeli war of 1948 and 1949. इसमें इसराइल वॉज एबल टू डिफेंड इटसेल्फ. इसराइल ने अपने आप को बचा लिया टू एग्जिस्ट और इसराइल ने काफ़ी अच्छे खासे एरिया ऑफ लैंड को अपने अंडर कब्जे में ले लिया. अब इसका रिजल्ट क्या हुआ इस वॉर का? कई चीज़ें हुई. जैसा कि मैंने आपसे कहा था कि कई नाम हमारे सामने आएंगे, तो मैंने आपको उनकी डेमोग्राफी पहले ही बता दी थी. तो इस वॉर के बाद, फर्स्ट अरब इजरायली वॉर के बाद, जो गाज़ा स्ट्रिप था वो इजिप्ट के पास चला गया, जो वेस्ट बैंक था वो जॉर्डन के पास चला गया और बचा हुआ बहुत सारा एरिया इसराइल ने अपने अंडर ले लिया. तो अगर अब हम देखें तो एक साल बाद रिजोल्यूशन में दो कंट्री बने थे. दूसरा कंट्री पैलेस्टीन एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करता था या फिर बहुत छोटे अमाउंट में पैलेस्टीन बचा. ये फर्स्ट अरब इजरायली वॉर का रिजल्ट था. अब इसी के साथ साथ कुछ कंटिन्यूस वॉर होती हैं. दूसरी जो वॉर बहुत फेमस वॉर है 6 डेज वॉर, जिसके बारे में सभी सुनते हैं. इसमें कुछ कंट्रीज़ ने इसराइल पर अटैक किया था और ये करीब 6 दिन की वॉर चली थी, जिसमें इसराइल ने 6 दिन में इन नेशंस को हरा दिया था और इसराइल के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी विक्ट्री थी। इसमें हम आपको आई विल बी टेलिंग यू that what were the result and consequences of this war. In this war, Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon and Iraq attacked Israel, but Israel did some preemptive strikes. Preemptive strikes का मतलब होता है कि दुश्मन तुम पे अटैक करे उससे पहले ही तुम दुश्मन पे अटैक कर दो. So this strategy was used by Israel and Israel completely thrashed its enemies, and result of this, Israel won the war in 6 days only. Now the outcome of this war was the Golan Heights that I told you it was a border with Syria was taken by Israel. Gaza was taken by Israel from Egypt. Sinai Peninsula was also taken from Egypt by Israel. हमने देखा है वो एक एरिया आपने देखा होगा जिसपे स्विस कैनाल एग्जिस्ट करता है, वो भी 1967 की वॉर में इसराइल ने अपने अंडर ले लिया था. वेस्ट बैंक जो जॉर्डन के पास था वो भी इसराइल ने अपने पास रख लिया. ऐसे देखते देखते इसराइल ट्रिपल्ड इस एरिया. मैं अपनी बात रिपीट कर रहा हूँ, इसराइल जो 1948 में था, इसराइल ने अपनी एरिया ट्रिपल कर ली, जो पहले था उससे ट्रिपल हो गया. यानी कि हम सोच सकते हैं कि इसराइल के लिए कितनी बड़ी विक्ट्री थी. ये प्रोग्रेस चलती रही. इसके बाद एक और वॉर होती है उस एरिया में, लगातार कई टाइम तक वॉर होती रही. उसी का आज रिजल्ट है कि इतने सारे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स आज उभर के आते हैं. तीसरी जो वॉर हुई वो हुई 1973 में, जो फेमसली कहा जाती है द योम किपुर वॉर ऑफ 1973. अब योम किपुर क्या है? ये योम किपुर जुदाइज़म में एक बहुत बड़ा फेस्टिवल है, लाइक दिवाली इन हिंदुइज्म और ईद इन इस्लाम. सच इज द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ योम किपुर इन जुदाइज़म. ऑन दिस डे country Egypt and Syria attacked on Israel to regain its territories. Those were taken by Israel in 1967 war. But in starting of the war, Israel faced some casualties and it heavy damaged the Israeli army and Israeli area that were taken place. But by the end of the war, Israel was able to recapture the area that was taken by the enemies. The result of this war was very interesting. Egypt came to table for talks and negotiations with Israel, and due to this negotiation, a Camp David Accord was signed in 1978. A Camp David means it is a place where President of United States have a like holiday destination, something like a holiday destination site. It was there, and the accord was signed over there only. Now, under this accord, Sinai Peninsula, it was a large area, was given back to Egypt. And what Israel got in with return to it was a very big achievement for Israeli diplomacy and Israeli bureaucracy. It was that Egypt recognized that a country named Israel exists. This was a great diplomatic win for Israel. We can see that very less of the Islamic nations or the Arabic countries has recognized Israel till date. But it was a very big achievement for Israel during that time, as till then no country was accepting Israel as a country. I am talking about the Arabic nations. Now, the consequences of this accord was such that the Egyptian president who signed this accord in 1978 was assassinated after some years, after saying that how can you give an recognition to a state of Israel. This was the major issue that happened at that time. 1978 war is over now. Now what happened? Now from here, the main conflict between Israel and Palestine take place. Till now it was conflict between Arab and Israel, the Arabics and Israel. But now it is between Israel and Palestine, as Egypt recognized Israel as a state. Israel and Egypt started some diplomatic relations now. The other countries were thrashed and thrived by Israel to such an extent that now they did not want an war with Israel. So now an unsaid agreement was signed, which is it was not an agreement, but it was just an understanding that they did not started continuously giving statement against Israel, or they did not started any war with Israel this time. Now what happened? The Palestine Liberation Organization, the PLO, they started their struggle to a larger extent after this conflict completed. PLO was established in 1964. It was basically for the Palestinian people. It established itself as a political as well as a terror group who used to mainly hijack planes and do terror activities in Israel. We can see that in 1970s this PLO was famous all over the world for its terror tactics and plane hijackings. PLO was later recognized as a political party by Israel and many countries, but then it was recognized as a terror group. It was not recognized as a political party or something. Now, after all this, the PLO had started their struggle for a Palestinian state. Now comes the first Intifada. It was between 1987 to 1993. इस फर्स्ट इंतिफादा एक अरबी शब्द है जिसका मतलब होता है द अपराइजिंग. इस इंतिफादा में बहुत ज़्यादा वायलेंस हुआ, बहुत ज़्यादा वायलेशन हुआ रूल्स का, लॉज का, बॉम्ब्स बरसाए गए, मिसाइल्स बरसाई गई, दोनों तरफ से बहुत ज़्यादा लोग मरे, करीब करीब 400 इजरायली या फिर जूइश और मोर देन 1000 पैलेस्टीनियन पीपल की डेथ हुई इस फर्स्ट इंतिफादा में. ये इंतिफादा मैं बताना चाहूँगा, इंतिफादा ये जो शुरू हुआ था अरब इसराइल में, यानी कि पैलेस्टीन और इसराइल के कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में. इट ऑल्सो इंस्पायर्ड द रिवॉल्यूशंस और द प्रोटेस्ट इन कश्मीर. कश्मीर में जो हमने देखा था कि छोटे छोटे रैलीज निकलती थी और उसमें से वॉयलेंस उनमें बहुत ज़्यादा होता था, जो पहले हुआ करता था, अब तो नहीं होता है. उन चीज़ों में इंतिफादा ने उन चीज़ों को इंस्पायर किया था और इंस्पायर होके ही ये सारी एक्टिविटीज़ यहाँ हो रही थी. अब इन्हीं बीच ये सब प्रोटेस्ट चल रहे हैं, फर्स्ट इंतिफादा हो रहा है, लेकिन इसी बीच फर्स्ट इंतिफादा के दौरान एक नया ग्रुप राइज करता है जिसका नाम है हमास, जो आज भी अभी हम न्यूज़ में सुन रहे होंगे हमास करके. तो हमास एक ज़्यादा एक्सट्रीमिस्ट ग्रुप था देन द PLO. PLO बोलता था कि दो स्टेट एग्जिस्ट करें, पैलेस्टीन एंड इसराइल, जिसमें पैलेस्टीन के पास जेरूसलम हो. लेकिन what the theory of Hamas was that Hamas says that there is no right of Israel to exist. There is no right, I repeat, there is no right of Israel to exist in this place. They want only Palestine and they will completely destroy the state of Israel. This was the ideology of Hamas. Now, in between of all those things, Oslo Accord in 1993 took place. In 1993, it was known as Oslo Accord, as the secret negotiation between the PLO and the Israel took place in Oslo, the capital of Norway. So that is why it is known as the Oslo Accord. Afterwards, the accord was signed in Washington DC. So this was known as the Oslo Accord. According to this accord, the PLO recognized that a state of Israel exists. Till then, they had not recognized the Israel officially, but now they agreed that Israel exists, and then in return of this, the Israel accepted PLO as the representative of the Palestinian people. This development took place in the Oslo Accord. It also maintained a peace for 5 years. It was signed for 5 years, that peace will be maintained for 5 years, and after 5 years new negotiations and settlements will be taking place so that other issues and disputes might be resolved. Under this agreement, the Gaza and Western Bank were given to the Palestinian Authority. It was said that there will be elections taking place in this place under the Palestinian people, and representatives will come from those areas. All this was done in the Oslo Accord of 1993. Now, it all had happened, 5 years were gone. Now what happened is the Camp David Accord 2.0. As I had mentioned, what was Camp David 1.0 or Camp David in 1978? It was the negotiation between Israel and Egypt for the talks after the Yom Kippur War. But now the Camp David Accord, that is 2.0, took place between Israel and PLO, as it was said in the Oslo Accord. But here there was the result of this was nil and void. There was no result of this meeting or negotiation, as both the sides did not meet any common ground, because the disputes of Jerusalem were to be discussed. So there was no common ground in this discussion. That is why this talk failed and the Camp David 2.0 went to vain. Now happens the second Intifada. As I have told you about the first Intifada, now happens the second Intifada between 2000 to 2005. In second Intifada, it was more dangerous and more violent. It had more violence than the first Intifada of 1987 to 1993. Here more than 1000 of Jewish and about 3,200 of Palestinian Arabs were killed due to this intifada, as reported by the United Nations in its declaration. Here, a new strategy was obtained by the groups of terror groups to bomb Israel. They used to plant bombs in the buses, and bus bombings took place at a large scale in Israel, causing death to thousands and thousands of people. And from both the sides, in response to this, Israel also conducted strikes and all those things in to curb terrorism. These things were inspired by the second Intifada. Now, Intifada ends in 2005. An unsaid end, but it ends. Now, after Intifada, what happened? Israel made some changes in its policies. There was some shift in Israeli politicians' mindset, or Israeli government's mindset, as the new people, new government which were coming were of the right, I can say the right ideology or right mindset. They used to think that we do not want a state of Palestine, it would be a complete Israel. These kind of political parties came after winning the elections. Now, the rightward shift in politics took place, and Israel now realized that they cannot resolve or solve this topic wholly. They had understood the deepness and the crucialness of this concept and this issue, so they decided to, rather than solving it, they will manage this issue. For this, what they did, the Gaza was under Israeli military control. So the Israeli military was removed from Gaza. The settlements of Jews were removed from Gaza. They wanted to have some talks with these parties and terror groups, so that the peace can be maintained. As they wanted, now they do not want, they have agreed that they do not want Gaza and all these things, but they want peace in this area. So they removed their armies from there. Now what happened, as Israel removed his army from the Gaza Strip, Hamas became more proactive in this area, and in 2006 Hamas won the election from Gaza Strip. And the PLO, as I mentioned, was divided into two parts, as Hamas, and second was Fatah. Both of the parties were not agreeing with each other's stances, so they had to divide each other. Now it has been a problem for Israel till now, that for negotiation whom they have to talk, either it would be Hamas or it would be Fatah. This is one of the main issues for Israel if they want the negotiations to took place. Now, in 2007, after winning 2006 elections, Hamas won from Gaza Strip. But in 2007, Hamas completely captured the area of Gaza Strip and took the complete control of Gaza Strip under it. And after controlling Gaza, they started missile attacks towards Israel. Rockets were fired, bombs were done. The Hamas and made some tunnels in the Gaza Strip so that they can hide when the Israeli strikes the Gaza. This all happened after the Intifada. The Hamas became proactive and a great leader of, I can say, the terror groups over there. Another terror group which was also active was known as the Islamic Jihadist group. It is still now inactive, and it is based on the Damascus, capital of Syria. It is headquartered over there, and the Hamas is headquartered basically in Gaza. Now, Hamas fired all those rockets, as I have told you. A lot of violence took place, thousands of people died from both the sides, including civilians. What Israel did in response, Israel blockaded Gaza. Israel blockaded Gaza by making checkposts in Gaza. It also made a maritime blockade. It also did some maritime blockade in Gaza, such that there were no supplies for Gaza. It was also, Israel mentioned the views that it was came to their knowledge that Iran and other countries are providing them with all those missiles and rockets with which they are firing at Israel. So they are blockading the area so that it could be a peace in Israel and they can strike the terror. Now, due to this, what happened? The UN aid that came to the Gaza generally also was stopped by Israel sometime. So, which result in very poor condition of the local Palestinian people over in Gaza. This resulted in more than 40% unemployment in Gaza. People were unemployed, there was no electricity, there was no proper water supply, clean and hygienic water supply. All these things happened in Gaza, and it was only due to the violence that took place between the two parties and the terror activities that took place. Now, after all these things took place in the early 2000s, now the main conflict or the main wars that took place, the three wars that took place were between Israel and Gaza in Gaza. This all happened. The three wars were in 2008, 2012, and 2014. These three wars took place, and Gaza was completely thrashed, and uh, there was a lot of violence, a lot of deaths of civilians, as well as the terror group was also striked under these wars. Israel definitely won these wars against the Hamas. As a result, Gaza was completely thrashed, the civilians died, and all these things happened. And according to, I also want to mention here that what things are were continuing at that time. Geneva Convention was signed previously. The Geneva Convention was signed very previously, which said that, which declared that the killing of innocent civilians during a war between any two parties is wrong and is inhumanitarian. But this was not followed in this kind of activities that took place from both sides, Israel as well as the Gaza, that was led by Hamas. Now, Hamas till now, after those activities, Hamas till now continues to bomb and fire rocket towards Israel, as it is continuing to happen right now, and also a serious matter of concern for the civilians. One Indian civilian was also found dead after this attack in recently, day before yesterday. So this all happened and innocent civilian dies. Now, what happened? Now Israel started its settlements in the West Bank, as it was doing when it came from Europe to the Israeli land. It again started some settlements in the Western Bank, the West Bank, that is known as West Bank. All these things continue to happen. Now, what is the reason of protest and violence that is taking place right now? We have been covering the topic right from the Ottoman Empire to it. We have come to about 2014. All the issues have been solved. Although after these, Hamas continues to fire rockets and all those violence continue to take place. But right now, it is affecting the world peace right now. So, what is happening right now? As I had told you, in Jerusalem is the holiest site for both, is one of the most holiest sites from both the religions. And apart from geopolitics, Jerusalem has now become an emotional sentiment for both the part of the country, or both the parties, the Israel as well as the Palestinian people. So this is also a very crucial reason for the conflict. Now, what happened? As I told you about, the Israeli settlement had started in West Bank. There was a place known as Sheikh Jarrah over there. Sheikh Jarrah is a place which had not been declared yet, that is it a part of Israel or is it a part of Palestine. Now, there the majority of population lives there is of Palestinian Arabs. Now, but Israeli court, it was the problem was in Israeli Supreme Court right now, and recently Israel Supreme Court gave a solution or gave a judgment to this, under which it said that the Palestinian Arabs will be evicted from this area, and Jewish settlements will take place, under which the Israeli government will be providing some incentives for the Jewish population to live there and buy property over there. The Palestinian people think that it was their right to live over there, this place. And now recently, as Ramadan is taking place in this month, the people used to come from those places to the Al-Aqsa Mosque. They have a very emotional sentiment to it. But in that group of people, there were some people who were some elements who started stone pelting at the Israeli forces, the Israeli police forces, obviously. They started stone pelting at them, which have resulted in Israeli forces entering. So, as a result of the stone pelting done to the Israeli forces entered the Al-Aqsa Mosque and took some actions over there. The Israeli forces used the stun grenades and rubber bullets to curb that all those stone pelters and all those things that were happening over there. but as a result of this we also can see that there were a lot of people who were there for just offering their prayers. So all these the process that happened resulted in Hamas attacking towards Israel with rockets and missiles with from Gaza. All the concept and all the issue was in Jerusalem, where the Al-Aqsa Mosque was, but the attack that happened was from Hamas. Hamas fired rockets and missiles towards Israel. This resulted in the major lead to the violence that is taking place right now. In response to what Hamas did, Israel too conducted airstrikes over Gaza Strip with an uh, with an intention to eliminate terror. Although now this all things are continuing to happen, like Israel is now continuing to fire and attack Gaza with some airstrikes and missile attacks. In response, Gaza, Hamas is also operating such activities like that. Till now, more than 1,000 rockets has been fired. So we can see that all these things are happening now. I'll be giving the I think that I have explained what is happening till now. Israel had also now eliminated some of their terror leaders. In spite of Hamas, there is also one terror group known as the Islamic Jihadist group that is based on Syria, but it attacks Israel continuously. Israel had also targeted their leaders. One of the leader of that group has been killed right now. Also, the leaders from Hamas and have been killed. Many more terrorists, as per the report given by the Israeli Defense Forces, have been killed. Their tunnels have been destroyed by the Israeli forces, which will help them to curb the terror activities taking place over there. Now, all these things that I explained to you are what is happening right till now. Now I'll be giving you with some solutions what the international community thinks about it, what the international community should do about it, and what are the activities are doing by such countries like Iran and all those things, which is not in the favor of the peace and prosperity in the group. It is continuously leading to the violence and baddening the situation. Now the solution, what could be the solution of this topic? As the international community, what international community can do, or what the international organizations and other countries are doing. Basically the best solution for this is the two nation theory as proposed by the United Nations in 1947. इन 1947 यूएन ने जैसा कहा था कि दो स्टेट्स एग्जिस्ट करेंगे, एक इजराइल और दूसरा फ़लस्तीन. ये एक बेस्ट तरीका है इस इशू को सॉल्व करने का. प्लस जेरूसलम के इशू को सॉल्व करने के लिए इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटीज़ को सामने आना चाहिए और अपने आइडियाज़ पुट फॉरवर्ड करने चाहिए, जिससे कि इस एरिया में पीस एंड प्रॉस्पेरिटी बने. लेकिन इस चीज़ के लिए टेरर को रुकना ज़रूरी है. हमास को, आई थिंक दिस इज़ माई व्यू पॉइंट, दैट हमास एंड द इंटरनेशनल इस्लामिक जिहादिस्ट ग्रुप शुड बी थ्राइव्ड so that they cannot be able to globalize the terror again in that area. Now the common ground should only be achieved when the two persons are in the table, and that is being governed by a international body. If United Nations can broker this deal between both the parties, it would be very good for the concern of the peace and prosperity in that area. देखा जाए तो दोनों पार्टी, इजराइल और फ़लस्तीन, जो अपने अपने आर्ग्यूमेंट्स देते हैं वो दोनों तरह से देखा जाए तो ठीक ही है. इजराइल कहता है कि ज्यूइश कम्युनिटी का जो नरसंहार या परसिक्यूशन हुआ था बैक फ्रॉम ईयर्स, उसके बाद इजराइल को राइट है एग्जिस्ट करने का, और जहाँ पर ज्यूइश पॉपुलेशन सेफली रह सके और पीस और प्रॉस्पर कर सके. दूसरी तरफ फ़लस्तीनियन लोगों का भी राइट सही है कि वो वहाँ से क्यों हटें जहाँ वो सालों से रह रहे हैं, जहाँ उनका होम था. सो दिस इज़ ऑल्सो शुड बी टेकन इन कंसर्न. एट लास्ट जो बात आती है कि ह्यूमैनिटेरियन बिहेवियर को मेंटेन करना चाहिए, और सिविलियन लाइफ चाहे इस तरह इजराइल की तरफ से हो या फ़लस्तीन की तरफ से हो, दोनों की सिविलियन लाइफ बहुत कीमती होती है. तो सिविलियन लाइफ जाना ठीक नहीं है, और जो सिविलियन राइट्स हैं उनको मेंशन करना चाहिए और उनको एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए. अब इसमें इंडिया का पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू क्या हो सकता है? हम देखते हैं कि आजकल ट्रेंड्स इतने चल रहे हैं ट्विटर पे कि इंडिया विद इजराइल या फिर इंडिया विद फ़लस्तीन, ये टॉप ट्रेंड कर रहे थे कुछ टाइम पहले. तो देखा जाए तो अगर हम देखें तो इंडिया एज अ कंट्री के फेवर में, हम इसको और टॉपिक ना देखे जाए, हम देखें कि इंडिया एज अ कंट्री के इंटरेस्ट में क्या है. अगर हम देखें तो इंडिया फ़लस्तीन का शुरू से ही सपोर्ट करते हुए आ रहा है। 1947 के रेजोल्यूशन में भी इंडिया ने अपोज़ किया था इसराइल के बनने का। उसके बाद भी लगातार जब से इसराइल बना हमने फ़लस्तीन को काफ़ी सपोर्ट किया है, इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में भी और इंटरनेशनल प्लेटफॉर्म्स में भी। हमने जो इसराइल के साथ हमारे रिलेशन भी काफ़ी लेट, जो ऑफिशियल रिलेशन थे वो काफ़ी लेट स्टार्ट हुए, 1990s में स्टार्ट हुए, जबकि फ़लस्तीन के साथ हमारी डिप्लोमेटिक टॉक्स और जो एम्बेसी थी वो बहुत पहले एक्सेप्ट हो चुकी थी और एस्टेब्लिश हो चुकी थी। इससे हमें दिखता है कि इंडिया हमेशा ही ह्यूमैनिटेरियन राइट्स और सिविल राइट्स के सपोर्ट में रहा है, क्योंकि इंडिया एक डेमोक्रेसी है और इंडिया ने अपनी स्ट्रगल देखी है। तो इंडिया दूसरे नेशन की भी स्ट्रगल को देखता है और उसे आइडेंटिफाई करता है। लेकिन हम अगर इंडिया का रिलेशन इसराइल के साथ देखें तो इंडिया और इसराइल के रिलेशन भी बहुत अच्छे रहे हैं पास्ट में और आगे भी बहुत अच्छे रहने की ऐसे तरफ जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि हम देखें राइट फ्रॉम 1971 जब इंडिया के इसराइल के साथ कोई ऑफिशियल रिलेशन नहीं थे, तब भी इसराइल सपोर्टेड इंडिया इन 1971 इंडो पाक वॉर, in 1999 Kargil conflict between India and Pakistan, in 2002 the Operation Parakram, they all supplied with India with ammunition dumps and all those things that are required for this concern, and it also supports India in the international community. So all these things should also be taken in concern for India as a country. तो हमको, जैसा कि इंडियन डिप्लोमेसी में कहा जाता है, एक वर्ड है डी-हाइफेनेशन पॉलिसी। ये पॉलिसी ऐसी पॉलिसी है जिसमें अगर एग्जांपल से कहा जाए, इंडिया विल नॉट डिटेरियोरेट इट्स रिलेशन विद इसराइल एंड इट ऑल्सो विल सपोर्ट इट्स रिलेशन विद पैलेस्टीन। यानी कि एक मिक्स टाइप की डिप्लोमेसी जिसमें हम अपने इंटरेस्ट को लेके चलें और दोनों तरफ के साथ अपने रिलेशंस मेंटेन करके चलें। यही आई थिंक कि अभी के लिए इंडिया एज अ कंट्री के फेवर में भी है, क्योंकि इंडिया को सबसे पहले इन चीज़ों को देखने से पहले अपना इंटरेस्ट देखना चाहिए कि इंडिया का इंटरेस्ट किस चीज़ में है। इस समय मेरे हिसाब से इंडिया का इंटरेस्ट यही है कि इंडिया डी-हाइफेनेशन पॉलिसी को कंटिन्यू करे और मिडिल ईस्ट में अपने रिलेशन बनाए रखे, क्योंकि हम देख सकते हैं कि इसराइल का अगर हम कम्प्लीटली सपोर्ट में जाएंगे, अगर हम कम्प्लीटली इसराइल के सपोर्ट में जाएंगे तो जो बाकी कंट्रीज़ हैं, जो अरेबिक कंट्रीज़ हैं और जो इस्लामिक कंट्रीज़ हैं, इनके साथ इंडिया के रिलेशन अच्छे हैं, वो डिटेरियोरेट हो सकते हैं। और दूसरी तरफ यही चीज़ उल्टी भी हो सकती है कि अगर हम फ़लस्तीन के सपोर्ट में जाएं तो हमारे रिलेशंस इसराइल के साथ बिगड़ सकते हैं। तो इसलिए अभी के लिए इंडिया का जो इंटरेस्ट है वो इसी में है कि इंडिया एक डी-हाइफेनेशन पॉलिसी को अपनाए। ऑल्दो इंडिया ने हमेशा ही सिविलियन राइट्स और ह्यूमन राइट्स का सपोर्ट किया है और वही इंडिया अभी भी यूनाइटेड नेशंस में कर रहा है। जो अभी रिसेंटली मीटिंग हुई थी इसराइल और इस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट को लेके, उसमें भी इंडिया ने अपना स्टांस सही रखा है कि इसराइल जो मतलब हमास, उन्होंने कहा है कि जो इंडियन डिप्लोमेट्स ने कहा है कि जो हमास टेरर स्ट्राइक कर रहा है वो गलत है, सिविलियन लाइफ दोनों तरफ से जाना गलत है। और उन्होंने इसराइल को ये भी अपना व्यू पॉइंट दिखाया है कि एक्सटेंडिंग बॉर्डर्स इज़ नॉट करेक्ट, एज इंडिया हमेशा ही इस बात को मेंशन करते आया है कि अब वो टाइम गया जब कंट्रीज बॉर्डर एक्सटेंड करें। अब इस दुनिया को, वर्ल्ड को पीस और प्रॉस्पेरिटी की तरफ ले जाना इंडिया का एक मेन मोटो है और जिस पर इंडिया काम कर रहा है। और इसीलिए इंडिया को इस टॉपिक पे मेरे ख्याल से इंडिया एज ए नेशन को मिक्स टाइप ऑफ डिप्लोमेसी कंटिन्यू करनी चाहिए और अपने रिलेशन मेंटेन करके रखनी चाहिए दोनों तरफ के साथ। हालांकि हमने देखा है कि ये चीज़ों में काफ़ी शिफ्ट आया, लेकिन रेडिकल शिफ्ट लाना अपनी डिप्लोमेसी में कभी भी ठीक नहीं होता है। हमने देखा था कि 1947 में यूएन में जब वोटिंग हुई तो इंडिया ने इसराइल का समर्थन नहीं किया था, लेकिन आज हम देखें तो इंडिया इसराइल के काफ़ी क्लोज रिलेशंस हैं। हम काफ़ी चीज़ें साथ में ऑपरेशंस करते हैं, साथ में बहुत सारी एक्टिविटीज़ करते हैं। तो आज के टाइम की नीड यही है कि इंडिया सभी के साथ अपने, मतलब इन सारे कंट्रीज़ के साथ अपने रिलेशन बना के रखे और एक पीस और प्रोस्पेरस वर्ल्ड की तरफ जाए। दैट्स ऑल। इंडिया का आई थिंक यही व्यू पॉइंट होना चाहिए। मैंने आपको सारा जो फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर्स हैं राइट फ्रॉम द ओटोमन एम्पायर से अभी जो आज तक इशू चल रहा है वो सब बता दिया है, आपके सामने फैक्ट्स रख दिए हैं। अब आपके ऊपर है कि आप यहाँ से अपना व्यू पॉइंट क्या बनाते हैं।